Who do you become when no one needs you? Hey, pursuers, take a breath with me for a second. I'm talking about like a real breath. Inhale, exhale. Hey guys, welcome back to Pursuing Me with Sharita, the space where we slow down, reflect honestly, and grow on purpose. Today's conversation feels very personal. As I always say, all of my discussions, all of my conversations, all of my episodes are personal. The only way I can speak from my own personal experiences throughout my journey of life. Today's conversation is personal, not just reflective, but personal. Because this is something I've had to sit with myself. And the question is simple, but it's layered. It's layers to it. As they say, what is it, layers to it. Who do you become when no one needs you? Pause for a minute. Think about that. Not when your phone is ringing, not when someone needs advice, not when you're fixing, helping, organizing, holding it all together, but when it's quiet, when nobody is asking you to do anything, when no one is asking you for anything. Who are you? Because most people aren't able to tell who they really are without giving titles, right? I saw an episode, I think it was a podcast. I forget which podcast it was, but it was a young lady asked the lady, who was she? And she wasn't able to say it. Everything she described herself as, they were titles. Nothing was about herself. Everything was a title. If I'm being honest, for a long time, being needed felt like purpose. It felt like value. It felt like identity. I was the strong one. Don't nobody want to be strong in 2026. I know I'm not. The responsible one, the dependable one, and I wore it very well. I'm always the go to person when it comes to whatever. No one checks on me. No one, I guess they look at me like the strong one. But again, 2026, I ain't the strong one. I'm in my soft life right now. As they call it, the soft girl era. Maybe you did too. Maybe you wore it well too. Somewhere along the way, many of us learned that being valuable meant being useful. And I know that could come from like just, possibly being a parent. Because whether we know it or not, when we have children, we kind of don't have a choice when it comes to being needed. Like we don't really have a choice. But those babies grow up and become young adults or adolescents. However, we raise them to become independent or, dependent on themselves, but yet we still keep that part of that nurturing, that doing. We keep it there. So whether you know it or not, we keep it there, and we want to be needed. We want to be used. But as I sit and think about it, think back at it, it was for control because that's where you felt valuable at. Correct me if I'm wrong. Being the one who shows up no matter what. And sometimes that wasn't ego, it was survival. Maybe you had to grow up fast. Maybe you had to be emotionally mature early. Maybe people depended on you in ways you didn't even fully understand at the time. So you just adapted. I think I spoke about that in a previous episode. Sometimes you just adapt to things or a way of life that was brought upon you. You learn how to anticipate needs, how to read rooms, how to manage emotions, yours and everyone else's, how to keep things steady, and it worked. It kept people close, it kept you important, it kept you necessary. I just had that discussion with my sister maybe yesterday or the day prior with how, we kind of stayed close to situations and people because that's just how we was taught. It was longevity. Oh, we have this friendship for this long, or we've been cool for this long, so we just kind of kept that situation going. And once you stop putting out the effort, the situation is dead. Yes, it's dead. And that could go on with just about anything. You meet people, say at work, and you become, you know, acquainted with, you become more of like a friend or whatever. But say for instance you leave that same place of work, like you guys not working together anymore. Sometimes the relationship stays strong amongst some, but sometimes others, once you leave that job, once you're not working together anymore, the relationship kind of go down. Like it kind of goes down, you know? But here's what I learned. When your worth is tied to being needed, rest feels uncomfortable. Stillness feels suspicious. And not being useful can feel like you're disappearing. I had to ask myself, if I'm not helping, who am I? That was true about 4 or 5 years ago when my child was getting ready to graduate. Matter of fact, I think it was the year before maybe she was a junior at the time, and it started to set in because I was on my personal development. I was on my personal development journey already, but when when she started to get into that 11th grade, when 11th grade like started, maybe say second, third semester, I was like, oh God, this is where I'm feeling like, what the hell am I doing with me? What am I going to do when she leaves? What am I going? And even with me thinking those things, I still didn't have a plan, right? I didn't have a plan because it didn't happen just yet at that time. But honey, when senior year came, all of the things occurred that, happens in 12th grade. You excited for all of this. And for me, we didn't get to like enjoy all of the things because it was during COVID. So I was hurt. She didn't care at all about the things. At least I think she didn't care. But I was hurt because all of those things I wanted to do. Look, it was about me. Not even her. It was the title of the mother doing his prom, doing his graduation, doing all of the things. And I wasn't able to do those things because of COVID. But again, I don't want to get all the way off track because that's another discussion for another episode. But guys, I had to ask myself, if I'm not helping, who am I? If I'm not holding it down, who am I? If nobody needs me in a moment, do I feel valuable? That's a real question that I think everyone should ask. Whether you have children or you have someone in a household with you, your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. If you have someone in a home with you, or even friends that's so codependency, you need to ask yourself that real question. If nobody needs me in this moment, do I still feel valuable? Because some people like to be needed. Yes, we do supposed to be needed. We want to be needed, but who are you without being needed? Some of us don't know who we are without a role, as I just mentioned. Without someone to care for, without a problem to solve, without someone to manage, and when the noise stops, we don't feel peaceful. We feel restless, we feel uneasy, we almost feel unnecessary. Not because we lack value, but because our nervous system learned something very early. As I just said, it's almost like we're programmed to be that way once we, again, have children or a spouse or partner, whatever, or either those needy friends. Usefulness equals safety. That's how people look at themselves. If I'm needed, I belong. If I'm helpful, I won't be abandoned. If I'm strong, I won't be a burden. So, of course, slowing down feels uncomfortable. I said that before in one of my episodes where there was a time where I felt like I couldn't write everything. I had to be doing something every minute of the day. But guess what that caused? That caused a total burnout. A total burnout. Your body thinks it's losing position. But growth invites a new belief. What if your worth isn't about what you provide, but about who you are? What if you don't have to earn rest? What if you don't have to justify stillness? What if you are not allowed to exist without proving? What if you're allowed to exist without proving? There's a version of you that shows up when you're not rescuing, not overextending, not managing everyone's emotional temperature. Honey, it's almost to the point where, please, it's just me, myself, and probably Chat GPT, my podcast. Of course, I have my check-ins with my girls, but you can't keep overextending yourself for others when you not attending to you. That can ask, what do I want? What do I need? What feels aligned for me? Right? We in a season of, if your actions not aligning with your beliefs and your desires, it need to be deleted. And it could be, it's a hard truth, a hard decision, hard. But guess what? Everything is hard, so we have to pick our hearts. Guys, and meeting a virgin can feel unfamiliar because when you're not needed, you're faced with yourself, your preferences, your boundaries, your desires, your truth, and that requires honesty. So let me ask you gently, who are you when no one needs you? Do you feel peace or do you feel anxious? Do you feel free or do you feel guilty? Do you feel valuable or do you feel invisible? And if you feel restless, what is that restlessness trying to teach you? Maybe the work isn't becoming more helpful. Maybe the work is becoming more whole. Maybe it's learning to enjoy your own company, to sit in a quiet room and not feel like you're missing something, to rest without explaining. I had that experience today. I actually made a date with my brother and cousins or whatever, and because we hook up for whatever. Don't threaten us with a good time. We always hook up. However, last night I felt like, oh, okay, tomorrow we'll, we're gonna do this, whatever, whatever. But today when I got up and I understood and realized that I need to just sit down. I don't have to do anything. I did something yesterday, you know, and I don't have to always feel like I need to move, move, move. So I sat today. I did some things that I wanted to do, and that's just that. And I don't feel guilty about it. I sent them a message and said, We can rain check maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, whatever. And I'm fine with that. I don't feel bad about doing that because it was something that I wanted to do. I was doing something that I wanted to do, right? Maybe the work isn't becoming more helpful. Maybe the work isn't becoming more whole. Maybe it's learning to enjoy your own company, as I said, to sit quiet and not feel like you're missing something. So, guys, maybe letting your identity expand beyond the strong one because you can be strong and soft, capable and supported, reliable and resting. You don't have to be needed to be loved. You don't have to be useful to be worthy. And you don't have to hold everything together to belong. Guys, this I shoot through these episodes because I get so excited and because all of these episodes are personal. They are all of my experiences. I don't speak about anything that I am not experiencing currently or that I have not already experienced or that I'm not already working through now. So sometimes when I'm like speaking, I get like going, and you could sometimes hear the tone shift or I probably repeat something that I already said. Like that happens. This is me being my authentic self. So I'm going to get personal, but I don't need to get all the way personal, with everything. But I am here being my authentic self. And I want you guys to be open to pursuing me with Sharita because this is what we're doing. We're pursuing our next self. Like we pursuing the next version of ourselves. We pursuing the version after that. Like we're going to keep pursuing. And when I say pursue, because some people inquire when I say pursuing is an ongoing thing. Look up the definition of pursuing, right? And we're gonna keep on going. This journey don't stop until your breath is taken away from you. So, guys, if this episode touched something in you, I want you to sit with it with just sit with it. Sit with it. Not as criticism, not as shame, but as awareness. Awareness is information. And information is power. What did they say? Knowledge is power? Yeah, information is power. I'm learning this in real time too. This season of my life has been teaching me how to sit still, how to not jump up immediately, how to let things be quiet without feeling the space. And it's uncomfortable sometimes, but it's freeing too. So this week, I want you to try something small. Give yourself just one moment where you don't perform, you don't fix, you don't offer, you just exist. And notice what comes up. That's where the work is. And if you're in a season where you're learning how to be, not just to do, just know you're not behind. You're becoming. You're becoming. And the work is working. And I'm really grateful you're becoming here with me. I'll see you next time, pursuers. And until then, stay intentional, stay honest, and keep pursuing. Peace.